I want to start today with a feeling.
Hmm.
A feeling I think every single person listening is going to recognize.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's, say, 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. You need to buy something.
Right.
Not a pack of gum, but something that actually matters. Maybe a new office chair because your back is killing you, or, I don't know, a high-end coffee grinder.
The high stakes purchase, the
Yeah.
one you just can't afford to get wrong.
Exactly. So you sit down, you crack your knuckles, you type "best running shoes for bad knees" into Google. And that is the moment.
Yeah.
That's the moment your life becomes miserable.
A descent into the tab swamp.
It is a swamp. I mean, within 10 minutes, you have 20 tabs open.
Mm-hmm.
You're bouncing between some generic top 10 list that it clearly just paid affiliate links,
Right.
a Reddit thread from 3 years ago arguing about art support.
And a YouTube review from a guy who seems a little too excited about shoelaces.
Yes, you are drowning in information, but you are absolutely starving for a decision.
It's called analysis paralysis, or in this case, decision fatigue. And the source material we are covering today argues that this misery, it's really a symptom of a broken system.
How so?
We've been using a tool designed for the internet of 1999 to shop in the 2020s.
And that brings us to the playbook we're dissecting today. It's titled The AI Shopping Playbook: Conversational Commerce and Decision Intelligence. It's this fascinating guide on how to stop searching and start, well, reasoning.
Right. The core argument is that we are going through a huge paradigm shift.
Okay.
We're moving from keyword hunting, that miserable tab opening thing you just described, to conversational decision making.
So our mission for this deep dive is honestly a little selfish.
I think so, yeah. We want to figure out how to use tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, how to use them to basically hire a personal purchasing consultant for free.
I love the sound of that. But let me challenge the premise, like right out of the gate.
Go for it.
Because I think a lot of listeners have tried this. They went to ChatGPT, they typed in, "what's the best coffee maker?" And they got a really generic, vanilla answer and just went straight back to Google.
That's the million-dollar question, and the source material tackles this immediately.
Okay.
The problem isn't the AI. The problem is that we are treating the AI like a search engine. We're expecting it to just fetch a list.
But it's not a fetcher.
It's a decision layer.
A decision layer. Okay, let's unpack that. What did that actually mean?
So think about the architecture of a search engine, like Google. Its primary job is indexing.
Right. It crawls the web, categorizes pages.
And when you type a query, it ranks those pages based on SEO signals, keywords, backlinks, all that stuff. It connects you to information. It doesn't understand the information. It just points at it.
It's a librarian pointing you to a shelf and saying, "good luck, hope you find what you need."
Exactly. A decision layer, or an LLM, works differently. It ingests the information, it synthesizes it, and it applies reasoning.
So it doesn't just point to the shelf.
It reads the books, understands the trade-offs, and creates a custom summary based on who you are. The playbook argues that search optimizes for visibility, who paid to be seen, while AI optimizes for fit.
Fit. It's an interesting word there. So instead of finding the best product, which is totally subjective,
Right.
it's finding the product that fits my specific messy reality.
Precisely. In the old model, you have to do the translation. You have to look at a spec sheet that says 4,000 milliamp battery and then figure out if that's going to last you a full day. The AI does that translation for you. It just compresses that entire research, comparison, and clarification loop into one single interaction.
Okay, so if we buy into the theory that this is a better way to shop, we need to talk about execution.
The how-to.
Right, because, like I said, most people get garbage results because they ask garbage questions. The source material outlines about 20 specific tactics, but we've distilled them down to the ones that seem to really change the outcome.
Yeah, let's skip the basics and get to the power user moves.
The first one is what they call problem versus product. This seems simple, but I suspect there's some nuance here.
It sounds simple, but it requires unlearning like 20 years of Google behavior.
What do you mean?
When we want something, we usually search for the solution we think we need.
Right. Best noise-canceling headphones. That's the default search.
Exactly. You've already decided the product category, but the playbook says, stop. Don't ask for the product. Describe the problem.
Give me an example of how that actually changes the result.
So instead of best noise-canceling headphones, you tell the AI, I work in a shared open-plan office. There is a low-frequency hum from the HVAC system, but also sharp, High-pitched laughter from my coworkers right next to me. I need to focus for 4-hour blocks without getting ear fatigue.
That is disturbingly specific. But I could totally visualize that office.
But look at what that does. Noise canceling usually means active noise cancellation, ANC. And ANC is great for that low HVAC hum.
But it's terrible for voices.
It is often terrible at blocking human voices. So if you just search best ANC headphones, you might get a pair that's great on a plane but totally useless in your office.
Ah, I see. So by giving it the whole scenario, the AI might realize, hey, wait, you actually need something with high passive isolation or maybe even in-ear monitors instead of over-ear cans?
Exactly. It can reason that high-pitched laughter requires a physical seal, not just electronic cancellation. It might recommend a whole different category of product you didn't even know existed because you were stuck searching for the wrong keyword.
That's that thinking partner idea again. It's diagnosing the need, not just filling an order. It feels like the difference between going to a doctor versus just going to a pharmacy.
That is a perfect analogy. The search engine is the pharmacy. You have to know what medicine you need. The AI is the doctor. You just tell it where it hurts.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Now, once we have a few ideas on the table, the playbook suggests a tactic that I honestly think is brilliant. They call it the stress test.
This is my favorite one. It solves the issue of AI sycophancy. You know how sometimes the AI just wants to agree with you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a great choice. Here is why you are so smart for picking that.
Exactly. It's programmed to be helpful, which often just means being agreeable. You have to force it to be critical. The stress test tactic involves prompts like, how might this product fail for a user like me?
Or, what's the most common reason people return this item? That's such a good prompt.
It cuts through the marketing fluff immediately. Maybe that espresso machine makes incredible coffee, but the user reviews, which the AI has access to in its training data, consistently complain that the water tank leaks after 6 months.
The marketing page will never tell you that.
Never. The top 10 list won't mention it. But the AI knows the pattern if you ask it to look for that negative signal.
It's almost like you're conducting a pre-mortem. You're asking, assume this went wrong. How did it happen?
Yes. And another great variation is asking about trade-offs. Asking, if I buy this laptop, what am I sacrificing compared to the slightly more expensive model?
I love that word, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because there is always a sacrifice. You never get everything.
Always. You want lightweight. You sacrifice battery. You want power. You sacrifice portability. Marketing tries to hide the trade-off. The AI can expose it explicitly. You can say, look, I value battery life over screen resolution. Re-rank these options based on that.
That actually leads perfectly into the next tactic, translating specs.
Yes.
This is where I feel like you, the listener, will really get value. I mean, we're all tech savvy enough to read a spec sheet, but sometimes the numbers are meaningless without context. I'm looking at a drill. It says it has 400 inch-pounds of torque.
Is that good?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Can I build a deck with that, or is it just for hanging pictures?
Completely. Or screen brightness. What on earth is 400 nits? Is that good?
I mean, I know it's brighter than 300 nits, but I don't know if I can actually see it in the sun.
Exactly. And that is the prompt. Don't ask how many nits is the screen. Ask, I like to work on my patio in direct sunlight. Will this screen be legible or will I be squinting?
So you're mapping the technical number to a subjective experience.
You're bridging the gap between the engineer and the user. The AI understands the context of 400 nits relative to direct sunlight, and it can give you a qualitative answer. It will be readable in shade, but in direct sun, you will struggle. That is infinitely more valuable than just a number.
It seems like the recurring theme here is just context, context, context.
Yep.
The more you feed the machine, the better the output. But I want to pause here and play devil's advocate. We're painting a pretty rosy picture of this AI consultant. But the source material has a pretty big warning section, right? It's labeled, don't trust, verify.
Yeah, and we need to take this seriously. This is where people get burned.
So what are the blind spots? If I'm doing all this prompting correctly, where can it still go wrong?
The biggest one is hallucination, specifically around hard data, like price and inventory.
Because the model isn't looking at a live database,
Right.
right? Its knowledge is frozen in time to some extent.
Right. Even with web browsing capabilities like GPT-4 or Perplexity, it is not an inventory management system. It might find a price from a cached page that's 3 days old.
So it might recommend a TV that was on sale for Black Friday, but is now full price.
Or worse, recommend a specific model that's been discontinued and replaced.
So the AI is great for strategy, but it's bad for logistics.
That's the perfect way to frame it. The playbook suggests a very strict workflow. Use the AI to decide what to buy. Use it to narrow the field from 500 options down to the top 3.
Your short list.
But once you have that short list, you leave the AI. You go to the retailer, you check the live price, you check the return policy, you check the stock.
So you don't ask the AI, where's the cheapest place to buy this right now?
You can ask, but you have to treat the answer as a rumor, not a fact. It's a lead to investigate, not a promise.
There's another limitation mentioned here about sensory subjectivity.
Yes.
The AI can describe sound quality or the feel of a fabric, but it's really just aggregating what other people have said.
Right. It can tell you that reviewers describe headphones as bass-heavy. It can't tell you if you like bass-heavy music. It aggregates consensus, but it can't predict your personal taste if you haven't articulated it.
So if you're extremely picky about how a keyboard switch feels or how a fabric drapes,
You still need to go to the store and touch it. The AI can tell you which switches are clicky versus linear, but it can't simulate that tactile feedback for your fingers.
okay, so we have the tactics. Problem versus product, stress testing, translating specs, and we have the warnings. Verify price and stock manually. I want to zoom out a bit.
The big picture.
Yeah, the source material spends the last chapter discussing the future of commerce and makes a pretty bold claim about the death of ranking.
This part is fascinating for anyone interested in business or marketing. For the last 20 years, the internet has been built on ranking.
I want to be #1 on Google. I want to be the Amazon's choice.
It's a winner-take-all game. If you're on page 2 of Google, you basically don't exist. And brands spend billions gaming that system. SEO hacking, review farming. But the argument here is that in a conversational world, ranking matters a lot less than relevance.
Explain that. If I'm a brand, why am I not worried about being #1 anymore?
Because there is no single list anymore. If you ask the AI for the best running shoe for your specific bad knees and your budget, the AI creates a custom list of 1, maybe 2 items. A brand doesn't win by being popular generally. They win by fitting your specific criteria perfectly.
So it fragments the market. Instead of one shoe winning the whole marathon, you have 1,000 different winners for 1,000 different runners.
Theoretically, yes. It shifts the incentive from shouting the loudest to making the most sense. The source calls it the clarity premium.
The clarity premium.
If a product has clear, honest documentation about who it's for and, importantly, who it's not for, the AI is more likely to recommend it to the right person.
That sounds surprisingly optimistic. It implies that honesty actually becomes a marketing strategy.
It does. Because if a brand lies, if they say this shoe is great for everyone, the AI, looking at the data, sees the contradictions. It sees the returns. And it might just stop recommending it.
It also changes user behavior.
Yeah.
The playbook talks about the confusing middle.
Right. The confusing middle is that part of shopping where you have the item in your cart, but you hesitate, you pause, you think, wait, does this actually work with my Mac?
Is this cable too short? That's usually when I abandon the cart. I'll tell myself I'll figure it out later and then never come back.
Exactly. That hesitation kills sales. But with conversational commerce, you just ask, does this come with a USB-C adapter? Yes. Okay, bye. The AI acts as the salesperson who clears up that final doubt. It reduces the friction of uncertainty.
So we're looking at a future where we spend less time hunting and more time validating.
Less time filtering noise, more time refining your own intent. The source calls this iterative discovery.
Iterative discovery. Expand on that.
Well, think about how you shop now. It's linear. Search, click, buy. With AI, it's a loop. You say, I want a drone. The AI says, okay, do you care more about video quality or flight time? You go, oh, I didn't know I had to choose. I guess flight time. The AI says, okay, then look at these models. You're learning about the category through the conversation. You refine your own desires as you go.
That is a profound shift. You're not just buying, you're learning what you value.
You're becoming a smarter consumer in real time.
I think that's the real promise here. It's not just about saving time, though. Getting rid of those 20 tabs is a huge win.
A huge win.
It's about confidence. It's about knowing why you bought what you bought.
And confidence is the antidote to buyer's remorse.
So let's wrap this up. A quick recap for the listener who's about to close this deep dive and go buy something. What is the Monday morning or Tuesday night checklist?
Okay, step 1. Resist the urge to keyword search. Open your AI of choice, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever.
Okay.
Step 2. Do a context dump. Don't just name the product. Describe the environment, the user, the problem. Be verbose.
Get specific.
Step 3. Stress test the result. Ask for the downsides. Ask who should not buy this.
Love that one.
Step 4. Use the AI to translate the technical specs into real-world impact for your life.
And step 5, once you have your winner, verify the price and stock manually on the retailer site.
That's the playbook.
It sounds like a little more work up front, with the prompting, but it saves hours of mindless scrolling on the back end.
It's high-leverage work. A minute of thinking saves an hour of browsing.
I like that. A minute of thinking saves an hour of browsing.
Yeah.
We should put that on a t-shirt.
We should.
Okay, one final thought to leave you with. Something the source material hinted at but didn't explicitly say. If we all start shopping this way, asking specifically for what fits us rather than just what's popular, what happens to the cool factor? Do trends die if we only optimize for utility?
Ooh, that is a deep question. Does hype survive in a world of pure reasoning?
Something to chew on while you're stress testing your next purchase.
Hmm?
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening and happy shopping.
See you next time.